started playing in '96 in a little student club somewhere. I did a DJ competition that I won.
Right.
Playing CDs already, you know, like everyone's playing vinyl. I was like, let's play some CDs here.
So when you won that tournament, what happened there? Did you find that you really wanted to get to the DJ scene, or is that where you wanted to branch off and start?
You know, I was just really into music. I've always been into music myself since day one, and when I got into electronic music, I found out that there was something else between listening to it, which was playing the music, you know, in front of crowds, and instead of being a band and having to get on stage with like 4 or 5 people, you could actually be on stage with just one guy and just play your tunes. So that was what I was doing in the beginning. I was just buying the music that I liked and playing it out for people, and that was amazing.
So where was the best clubs that you experienced?
I think there was only one club where I played for a few years, which was the venue where I was playing as in my student time, and that was in a remote city somewhere in Holland. And going to clubs that was like way later, and even playing in the bigger clubs that started like late more in the 2000s. Yeah.
So then, like 2002, is that when you decided that you was going to branch out into production?
Well, I think going into production, there was also a natural progression for me, because I just, you know, as I said, I've always been into music.
Yeah, sure.
So like playing the music, that was one thing, and then I was like, wait a second, I want to just make my own music, you know, like if it's that easy, let's just get into it. So I started buying a few pieces of gear, you know, getting my computer hooked up, and basically that's how I started.
So what was your first computer? Because a lot of the artists that we interviewed, they started on Ataris.
No, I think mine was a Apple G4, which is quite decent. I think that's pretty new school. This was, I think my first computer was 2000, early 2000. Yeah.
I can't kick this feeling when it hits.
So let's talk a bit about the software that you use as well, building your own studio. How did you find that? Did you think that you just bought a computer and then?
That's basically what I did in the beginning. I just bought my computer and I started playing around with a program called Peak, which is basically just editing audio, like one channel, just copy, paste, merging certain samples, but it wasn't really arranging things yet. And then I found out about Cubase, and I started buying my first synthesizers. And
what synthesizers did you buy first?
I bought the Juno 106, I believe, the classic one, you know. And I recorded chords and pads, and I chopped them up and rearranged them, and you know, I was very creative, just doing things that you just shouldn't be doing, but you know, that's I guess the part of the experimentation process.
So what other software do you use apart from Cubase to put it in?
I think
you still use more outboard?
I think, you know, after my first synthesizer, I bought a few more. I bought the almost all the Roland things, you know. I had the 101, the 303, 808, 99, 727, 5, whatever.
Are you showing off now?
I'm not. I still have them all, you know, but I just never use them anymore. I did use all of them in some way in any of my records. It's just that over the years, you know, like even the 909 that I used to love for a while, it's collecting dust. My 808 staying next to it, also collecting dust.
You find the VSTs are comparable with?
They're not. You know, it's not only about the sound, it's also about the way you use it. When you're using a drum machine, a real one, and you have all the outputs and you put them through a mixer, it's not about the sound that comes out of it. Well, it is about the sound, but it's more about the way you actually will tweak it, the way you will tweak the equalizers.
Yeah.
It's just not the same as running all the samples through Ableton or Cubase. You know, you're just never going to end up with the same thing.
Is that what you discovered, that your sound was unique in that respect? Or?
I think so. I think, you know, like it was easier maybe making a unique sound back in the days than nowadays, because everyone's kind of using the same plugins, presets, sample banks, sample sleeves, you name it.
So let's bring it forward now. So, you know, like from 2002 to now, you know, you've been quite busy, you've been very extensive, you've been touring a lot. And one thing that really has interested us, like Tronique, is your live sets. What does that entail?
You know, also my live sets, I started in a very simple way. Just actually, the first one was playing Cubase and a lot of different parts of the tracks on different channels and playing around on the. It wasn't very live. It was more like a streaming of audio for 1 hour and tweaking it with my mixer. And then later I bought the MPC 2000, which was amazing actually. If I look back into it, it's such a. You really have to work the machine to really get something out of it. Right? Later it became Ableton, you know, inevitably. It just allows you to do so many cool things.
It gives you the freedom.
It does give you the freedom. You have to be creative again, you know.
Yeah,
it's quite difficult. So nowadays I still use Ableton with a few controllers. Maybe it's not as live as it used to be. I also use some SU700 Yamaha samplers, which was also amazing, you know, just all hardware, no screens. So you have to focus on the real stuff that you have. Nowadays it's maybe a little less live, but the sound is a lot better, I have to say. And I can get people to different levels with my music.
I suppose, especially with house music now, it's a lot more crisp, a lot more tighter.
It is, yes. It's a lot tighter, which it could also lose a lot of the authentic sounds, but you just, again, you have to be creative.
So what about the sounds that you grew up listening to? What made you think that you wanted to create certain sounds? What was the record that you heard about? I really like.
You know, I used to, when I got into electronic music, I started listening to Orbital, Left Field, Underworld. You know, all those bands, even Dreadzone, I was a big fan. You know, the bands that made albums that you could listen to from the very first record to the very last one. I loved all of them, you know, and I think I got a lot of influence from that. Also, like the musical aspect, that was so important. And until today, I haven't really found the similar. Maybe it's also because I was younger, you know, it was all new for me, so it's hard to say if that was better music, but for me, still, that's where I come from.
I think the music, not saying back then, but you know, when you look back on the music back then, it seems to have a lot more character, but I think we'd be saying the same thing 10 years
That's
time.
the thing, you know, like, I'm not a purist, I don't want to be a purist, you know, like, if for the people growing up now, the kids, they don't have anything to do with the music that I was listening to when I was a teenager, you know, so for them it's different again. It really depends on the time and everything.
So what can we look forward to from Joris Voorn 2010, 2011?
A lot more singles. I'm working on a few remixes at the moment. It's difficult because I don't want to do so many remixes, but I got a lot of requests more interesting to do.
Do you want to do more original material?
I want to do more. Yes, I actually have a lot of sketches on my computer that I want to keep working on because I'm working on a new album, which hopefully is going to sound very different than anything else I've done before. I mean, don't pin me down on it, you know, because I just don't know if that's what it's going to be like in the end, but I'm trying, you know. So hopefully after summer, when the big touring is kind of,
the
festival season is done, you know, like I hope to have a bit more time to start working on the album.
So I'd love to definitely stay in contact with us.
Of course.
And definitely love to hear the album when it comes out, and it's got to be different now.
I'll try.